on our website, which should answer any questions you may have in a bit faster. Okay, so now moving on to the presentation itself. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the awards and benefits of getting involved, and then Dorota will take you through the process and timeline and provide more information on the practicalities of how to apply. And our wonderful guest speaker today, Dr. Sun, will share top tips on how you can build your application. There is a Q&A at the end, and this is being recorded. Right, we just wanted to give you a little bit more information about Study UK itself. So we thought it would be helpful to everyone attending today to put our campaign in a broader context. So the GREAT campaign is the UK government's campaign promoting the UK as a world-class destination for trade, tourism and education, with different strands being delivered by government departments and partners. The British Council delivers the education strand, Study UK, which the Alumni Awards is a part of. So Study UK plays a vital role within the GREAT campaign in showcasing the excellence of UK education and attracting students to live and study here from across the world, and it's representing two brands on a global stage. That's the GREAT campaign and the British Council. And just more about the Alumni Awards themselves. And again, welcome to everyone. We've just started the presentation, and this will be recorded and circulated. So this is the 12th year the Study UK Alumni Awards are running. They've always been about finding and celebrating the impact that international UK alumni have gone on to make after and because of their UK education and their experience. That is still our objective after all these years, because there's still so much more to share about the positive impact you've all been making in your professions, societies and countries you now live due to your UK education. And we want to help you tell your story, celebrate it, and recognize the important work you're doing, which I'm sure is the reason you're here today, because you all have a story you have to tell. And by doing so, you'll be highlighting the benefits of a UK higher education and inspire future generations of internationally mobile students, just like you once were, to come and study in the UK. I'm sure many of you have been inspired by the stories we've profiled in your country, as well as on a global level from our winners and finalists, such as Dr. Hassan's. And if you haven't seen those stories, I do encourage you to take a look at them on our website. So a little more detail on why you should apply. So firstly, we deliver these awards at a national and a global level, which I'll talk about in a minute. But what this means is that you have the opportunity of having your profile raised and your success story shared at a national and possibly global level too, through our various face-to-face events and online campaigns. If you are a finalist on a national level, you'll benefit from the opportunity to attend in-person events along with VIP guests, prominent people in their field, local ambassadors, other UK alumni, as well as previous award finalists and winners. So it's a really fantastic networking opportunity too. Please note that each country operates slightly differently, and you can find more information on your specific country's national websites for those details. And those who are successful on the global level, you will have your profiles raised through our central campaign. And then the 4 winners, that's 1 per category, which we will speak about later, will be invited to the UK for professional development visit to reconnect with universities and build stronger ties with the UK. Now, we have also seen some other benefits being realised by your fellow UK alumni, and one that comes up time and time again is simply connecting with your UK alumni network in country and globally, as well as reconnecting with your UK university and the opportunities they provide. We all know it can be easy to lose touch after so many years, so it's a wonderful way to reconnect. All of these opportunities can, of course, lead to further and deeper contributions to the incredible work you're already doing. Other alumni have simply said that having their work recognised is reward itself, and that applying is an opportunity to reflect deeply on your academic journey and the UK and its impact that it's had on your life and career. Okay, so those are some of the benefits, and now we're just going to get into a little bit of how this process works. So the very first step for everyone, so no matter which country you are in, is to read through our eligibility criteria. It's the same for everyone, as well as the terms and conditions. And then you can start to prepare and submit your application online, which you can find on our Study UK website. All applications from around the world, so every application that comes through is scored by our external agency against the selection criteria, which we will look at later. In addition to the global awards, this year we have 18 countries hosting national level award ceremonies. We will also mention those a little bit later. So all the eligible and shortlisted applications from those countries are then passed on to your local judging panels, who select the finalists and the winners. Those finalists and winners are celebrated across the local media channels and invited to their respective national ceremonies. So that's in country. All of those applicants will automatically be considered for the global awards. Okay, and then please note that each application also goes through due diligence and eligibility checks by our UK team, country teams, and our scoring agency, and are verified by your higher education institutions. So that's on the national level. I'm going to speak about global now, but it's a very similar process. Okay, so now to global awards and who will be considered. So we just spoke about national. So if your country is hosting a ceremony, only the finalists and winners from those countries will go through to the global awards, and all those who are unsuccessful won't be considered any further at that stage, as they will have already gone through the various stages of review. So that's our external scoring agency, our central UK team, and also the national judging panels. So those are the country judging panels. And then all of those from countries who are from a country who applying from a country who isn't hosting a national ceremony will go into the global awards and then go through the same scoring and judging process as those on the national level. So just to be clear, each application goes through the same scoring and judging process. It's just at slightly different times, as the national awards are held before the global awards. And those applications are then all put forward for consideration at the global level. So please note, as with the national awards, each application will also go through due diligence and eligibility checks by our UK team, the country teams, and our scoring agency, and they are all verified by your higher education institutions, which you indicate on your applications. And then the global shortlisted applications are evaluated by our regional judging panels, and those produce our 28 global finalists. And those 28 finalist applications are evaluated by the global judging panel, which produce our 4 global winners, and that's 1 per category. The 28 finalists are celebrated via a digital campaign from July to August. That will be next year. And hopefully you saw many of those stories recently. And then the winners are announced at the end of August. And those are the ones who are invited to the UK for their professional development visit the following year. Right, now before I hand over to Dorota, please note that all this information can be found on our website. This is being recorded and we will share this with you afterwards. But thanks very much, Dorota. Over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. And hi, once again, everyone, thank you for joining us. We'll now have a look at the eligibility criteria and the 4 award categories. So this year's Alumni Awards are open to international UK alumni who are resident in any country outside of the UK and who have studied here within the last 15 years. You have to have graduated already at a recognised UK higher education institution at a degree level or above. And you must have studied in the UK for a minimum of 1 term or semester. And if you studied through transnational education, the TNE, you need to have obtained a full UK degree level qualification. Based on our experience, there are some common questions which come up about reapplying for the awards, about eligibility of alumni who completed professional short courses in the UK, or those with PhDs. So to clarify this, all previous applicants can reapply again, except for the global winners. In terms of professional short courses, alumni are eligible if their course was at a degree level or above, and if they completed it while physically being based in the UK. And for PhDs, the general rule is that alumni who are enrolled as PhD students in the UK are eligible. But if you were enrolled at an overseas university and came to the UK in a short fellowship or worked in the UK, and if you were not enrolled as a UK student, then you wouldn't be eligible. We have 4 award categories: business and innovation, culture, creativity and sport, science and sustainability, and social action. And regarding the note that you can see on the screen against culture, creativity and sport, sport was always included in the Culture and Creativity Award category description. And from this year, we've included it in the category name itself to enhance visibility and encourage broader engagement from the sector. Something important to note is that you can only apply once within the application call to one of the 4 award categories. And when choosing the category for your application, just think about which one would be the most relevant to your career and your work. And if you become a finalist, judges can decide to move you across to a different category if they think that it suits your application better. We will now go into a little bit more detail of the award categories themselves. So the Business and Innovation Award recognizes alumni who demonstrate leadership in initiating and contributing to innovative ideas, solutions, or ventures, particularly in fields such as entrepreneurship, business, technology, and finance, just to name a few, with strong potential for growth and impact. The Culture, Creativity and Sport Award celebrates individuals who have forged impactful careers in the arts, culture, and sports, showcasing creativity, influence, and ingenuity across different fields such as design, media, music, performance, and athletics. Then the Science and Sustainability Award acknowledges work of alumni who've excelled in advancing scientific or sustainable solutions, demonstrating significant impact and achievements across fields such as climate action, clean energy, medicine, engineering, and sustainable development. And the Social Action Award honors individuals who've demonstrated exceptional commitment to creating positive social change and improving lives through impactful work in areas such as education, equality, justice, poverty reduction, and humanitarian or socially driven initiatives. And as mentioned before, judging panels may reassign an application to another category if it suits that category better. Now, in regards to submitting your application, first of all, it's important that you read the eligibility criteria, as your application will not be accepted if you don't meet these criteria. Link to the application forms on our website, and this is the only way to apply. The application call closes on 16th of October, so please ensure you submit your entry before 5 p.m. on 16th of October, UK time. We will also be running one more How to Apply webinar on the 8th of October, which will be joined by our Study UK manager for the USA. And you're more than welcome to join that session or recommend it to your peers. And if you start an application, then you can come back to it using your individual application ID and then complete and submit it when you're ready. Everyone that submits the application will also receive an email confirmation about it. So if you have submitted and haven't received it, check your spam or junk mailbox. Or if you encounter any issues, just contact us on our email address. Now, before handing over to Tastic, I just wanted to take the opportunity to share some guidelines and the judging criteria with you. And in the application form itself, you are asked to provide us with your details, including the universities where you studied at, your course details, and any scholarship information. The core of the application, though, are the 3 questions which you can see on the screen right now. And the first question is about the impact that you've had as a result of your achievement and success. Then the second question focuses on your experience of studying in the UK and how that has enabled you to achieve your goals. And the last question has to do with your legacy or legacy in the making. And it's how you have shared your valuable experiences of studying in the UK and how you've inspired others. Something that I wanted to point out to you here is that you will see also in the application form that there is a set word limit for each of those questions. It appears within the application form itself, and it's 3,000 characters, including spaces, which is approximately 500 words for question 1 and 2. And then for question 3 is 1,500 characters, including spaces, which is approximately 250 words. So as in when you submit any sort of written application for an award scheme, just be mindful of that and ensure that when you put together your application, to make sure that the story that you write is within those word limits. Now, let's talk about what makes a great application, or in other words, what the judges are looking for. Here you can see the judging criteria that each application is assessed against at each level of judging. And that's impact, UK influence, media traction, the potential to influence and inspire, and the overall quality of your application. And it's important that the story which comes through your answers to the 3 long-form questions provides a strong evidence of meeting the judging criteria, and it's of overall good quality. Just to let you know that while AI tools like ChatGPT may be used to support the process of crafting an application, and we are aware that alumni, everybody may be using these now, it's important that your entry retains your own voice and originality. So what we see is that often using AI results in quite a generic language, and it also can take away from personality and individuality of your application. So we really encourage you to use AI tools in an ethical way and ensure that you use your own content and your own voice in your application. And just remember that impact is really central to your application. And now, to tell us more about this and on how to craft a high quality application, I'm going to hand over to our guest speaker, Dr. Tasdik Hassan, who will introduce himself and share some more insights with you.
Thank you very much, Dorota and Sarah. It's really, really my honor to be here today. I applied for this award, I think, 2014 October, last year October, and I heard about my nomination from British Council Bangladesh in February this year. So February 2025 to now, it changed my life literally. It's not only about the fact that it pushed me a lot to articulate my stories, and the second important thing is it gave me a lot of encouragement. It gave me a lot of kind of motivation that I'm doing it right, because I'm getting appreciation from my alumni country. I spent an incredible year in the UK. At the same time, it helped me a lot to get attention from a lot of high profile people, oh, see, who is this boy, we need to know about his work. So I got a lot of LinkedIn requests, and whenever I'm meeting people, they know, oh yeah, so you are that person I read about you from British. So that's fantastic. And I definitely those who are listening, and if you have friends who studied at UK, please tell them to apply for this. I don't know if I have a lot of tips for you, but definitely I want to share some experiences which I think will help you to write your narrative more articulately. The first thing is, Dota, if you can go to the next slide. And you can hear me clearly, right? Is that okay? Yes.
Yes.
So perfect. I also added some of my pictures from London School. I cherish those moments. So about like how you can create a high quality application, or my do's, like what I learned from this process. There's a method called STAR. I don't know if you heard about that before. STAR stands for, A stands for situation, T for tasks, A for action, and result. Let me give you an example. I think that will make things more easier. So I'll read direct like 2 lines from my application, which will give you the context, the way I applied STAR method in my application. So I wrote at one point, in Bangladesh, only 500 mental health professionals are working like for 180 million people. This is the situation. In one line, I wanted to say that for 180 million people, we have only 500 mental health professionals. Then I talked about I co-designed digital mental health tools with deaf community. So this is kind of the action, what I did. And now around 13 million people have resources in Bangla Sign Language. It's just a quick example that you can, with very simple and short sentences, you can talk about the situation, you can talk about the task, you can also kind of mention the action you did and the result, what happened when you applied your method, your approach, or your initiative, whatever you did. So this method, I was talking to Sarah, I think last when we met before, said like I spent a lot of time because I talk a lot, I love to talk, and it sometimes reflects on my writing, that I write a lot to explain something. So that's a problem for many of us, those who are not from native English speaker. So I wrote the stories, and then I tried to kind of follow that method so that I can tell the readers about the situation and what I did. You need to be very clear and precise. If we talk about, like if we use vague terms, and I also want to give a disclaimer that we should not use, like complicated scientific terms, which might distract the reader. We can talk about, like our scientific works, definitely, but we need to think about science communication, and talking about clarity and preciseness, we need to show exactly what we did and why it mattered. If we use, like already Dorota talked about generalizability, like if we like generic terms, maybe that our stories will not be reflected the way we want to tell to the audience. Confidence is a key factor, but definitely we should not be arrogant. So we need to position ourselves as a contributor and a leader in the progress. If we only say like, I am a pioneer in this world, but definitely it will not make a clear sense. We need to tell why it's a contribution. That is critically important. And my next point will talk about that. When we are saying, confidence, the confidence might come from the facts, like statistics, numbers. I remember I talked about my TV show. I have a TV show in Bangladesh, which is, I think, the first TV show talking about mental health exclusively. It's such like 1 hour. We have like dedicated 1 hour when we initiated that in 1 week. So I talked with the TV producer. I said, like, I need number. Can you please send me the TV stats? They have a mechanism of capturing the watch hour. So they send me like your TV shows by far got like, 22,286 hours. I said like impressions. So tell me everything. So it was super funny. At one point I was thinking like, should I give this statistics to the application, or how I can tell that this TV show is getting kind of view, or people are watching it? So like, no, I need to add it, even if it's like sound like a lot of numbers, but I need to tell to the world that this very unique and very different TV show is getting a kind of a response and kind of attention from the audience. That's the reason I'm saying like you can back your claim with numbers. Not all categories, or like not all activities will have number, but if you have scale or reach or something, definitely you can mention that. I think Dorota was talking about media attention, media attraction. So definitely you can mention if your initiative, your project, or your work have somehow getting attention from in local or in international media. And one of the important thing for me was highlighting my UK connection. That I think I was very kind of enthusiastic and about that, to mention how it helped me. Explicitly, I wanted to talk about how my UK education shaped my vision or enabled me to achieve this impact. So I remember at one point I said, UK training in global mental health and disability inclusion gave me the courage and skills to co-design digital tool for deaf communities. So specifically, tried to match my course. I had a course on disability. And so I wanted to match that, like, see, I had this specific unit, specific course from where I learned about this. And I told Sarah before that I unlearned a lot of things. At one point, I think I was giving a very specific example of a TV show which I hosted, and I interviewed a trans woman, and I mentioned about that it was a very risky and a very kind of complex topic for Bangladesh because it's a conservative setting. But at the same time, when I was trying to talk about human rights, I thought like okay, let's take this opportunity and talk about human rights and mental health. And when we telecasted the show, even my parents were not very comfortable. They said like, oh, you might get, threats and other stuff, but nothing happened. The main reason is I used theories here, my education from the UK, that how I can present a case with empathy, and at the same time, I'll not kind of, like initiate any controversy, avoid all sort of controversies. And when writing this application, I specifically talked about that, this courage, or, like the knowledge came from my UK education. So maybe that worked for the readers. Like, this is how I kind of tried to connect between the education, what I had from the UK, and applied that in my situation when I was kind of trying to handle a very sensitive issue. And the last, I think, tip here I'll be talking is authenticity about your story. Show who you are, what drives you, your passion, why your work matters. So that passion is very important. This makes your application memorable. That is very important, because I think I remember Dorota said that when we first met. That's like, I remember your application when I read that, and she said that I knew that it will be, like well appreciated by the judges, and eventually did. So thanks for reading it. And at the same time, like that authenticity, maybe at the same time it matters. And here comes the point of ChatGPT as well. Like, no ChatGPT, no generative AI can tell your authentic story than you. So don't think about small mistakes in grammar. Think about your story that will make you stand out among, I think, thousands, more than thousands. Last year it was I think 1,300 or more. This year I think it will be more. So definitely you need to think that how it will be different. Now, Dorothy, if you can go to the next slide, I definitely want to talk about the don'ts about application. So I don't know, don'ts. Maybe it's just like, what you can avoid. And again, I did some funny pictures from my UK time. Yes. So the first thing is, it was a very tough job for me, because I'm very fortunate to receive a lot of accomplishments around the world. And I was thinking, like, do I need to mention all the achievements? Like, I published a lot of papers. So my challenge was, I published more than 100 papers. So definitely in the science and sustainability category, the number of publication or the citations, and definitely, those scholarly things matters. So I was thinking, do I need to list it, or do I need to mention the awards I received during UK or after that? Then I thought, like, no, I should focus on the outcome and impact. It doesn't matter like how many papers I published. Maybe I can talk about the papers which kind of changed something, or which were considered as part of the policy. So I remember I talked about, like, I published papers that shaped refugee mental health policy at UNHCR. I specifically talked about my particular engagement with UNHCR, because I knew that it's a very known, UN organizations are well received by the world, and I know that this particular statement might have a positive impact with the readers. Like, he worked with refugees, and his works, kind of being appreciated by UNHCR. So this is how maybe you can think about listing your achievements. Maybe not all, maybe one or two, which you think like will be more interesting to feel like, to present your narrative. I remember, like, at one point, the challenges is kind of just make it very easy for you. Like, don't ignore challenges. Briefly acknowledge barriers and show resilience. You might have a lot of challenges in your setting, and it's totally normal. We are from different countries. We are like, we have to face, we definitely, we faced limited resources, the government backlashes sometimes. Like, we are facing a lot of conflicts around the world. So in between, like, how you deal believe that that definitely will shake the reader, like, okay, in spite of this particular UK grad tried to do something which is new, which is showing hope, which is showing resilience. So maybe we can focus on that. And another don't, or like, what you can avoid is like just talking about the UK connection, or generalize about UK is like, you can make it very specific. Sometimes like we see like, oh, UK is the best country to study and the university is number one in my field. I understand that. We all understand that definitely these are true. But how it helped you to change something or unlearn something or learn something? Maybe you can talk about, I remember I talked about accents, because, it's not my first language. So I said like, when I started, UK was my first international schooling outside my country. So I said like, my first couple of weeks, like maybe people are going to laugh when I will start talking. But after 2-3 days, because as I love to talk, I was talking everywhere. So, and when I started talking, I said, no one is kind of saying anything. And accent is not at all a concern for anyone. It's just like the confidence, just like if I'm making sense to my faculties or to my classmates, and that confidence is definitely will make things different. So that is not directly that UK taught me that you need to learn that your accent is okay. It's just the environment, the culture was so warm and so accommodating that I eventually learned that this is how it is. Like, I do not need to worry about that, and that helped me a lot in my, like, public speaking later on. Like, yeah, just be yourself. And while writing, my suggestion will be like, don't write for everyone. It's your story, it's your voice, your authenticity matters more than sounding perfect. So when Dorota was talking about AI, you can take help in a sense, like for clarity, you can ask AI to check your grammar, that's fine. But I think you can just give a prompt like write your story, that will go nowhere. Trust me, that application will not be selected. Dorota, if you can go to the next slide, I can just give a quick key takeaway. So my suggestion will be like, be clear, be confident, and authentic. Show impact with numbers, and always connect your achievements back to the UK experience. And this is a very important picture to me. You can see my son, my elder son, was receiving the award on behalf of me, because that particular day I was not in Bangladesh. So he took the challenge, and he faced an audience and received that award. And I'm very, very proud that he did it. I remember, Sarah, I definitely want to mention you. After this, he called me. He was very excited that I received your award. And he said that, I'm sad. I said, why? He said, I thought they're going to call me for a speech. He was referring to the British Council director. I said, like, he will tell me to say something. I was prepared. I said, oh, so you already had a speech in mind? He said, yes. I thought I told, like, I wanted to say something on behalf of you. I wanted to thank them. I wanted to thank UK. And no one called me. So like, yeah, one day, one day it will happen. Okay, so I'm very proud that I got this opportunity, because it's so important for me, because he was there with me when I was studying at the UK. He was 12 months that time, so sometimes I used to carry him to the classes, and like all my classmates, they know him because I'm the only parent that time in the class, so they're very excited about him. And now he is taking that award from British Council. That's something very, very cherishing for me. Like, it's like one of the bestest memory of mine. Thank you very much for this. And I'll be here till to the end, so definitely I'll be responding to some of the questions. Thank you, Dorota and Sarah.
Thank you so much, Tasdik. Thank you for wonderful tips, and also so many wonderful anecdotes that you shared with us. And point noted about your son and his ambitions. We'll have some words with colleagues in Bangladesh about any possible opportunities. And yes, Tasdik is going to be with us until the end, so we still have possibility to ask him some questions. In the meantime, I'm just going to briefly go through a few last slides. These top tips were really well covered by Tasdik, and might just help you as a checklist when you're writing your application. And we also receive quite a lot of questions about examples of highly scored applications. And while we can't really shed any previously submitted applications, we included this slide to give you an idea of what we mean by a generic response which can be improved and made stronger once specific examples from your own unique experience are included in it. So it will be included in the slides for your reference. Now, what happens after you've submitted your application? As I mentioned, you'll receive an email confirmation, and please contact us if you can't find it. We will be following the application call closing. We will be shortlisting applications between November and December. Now, if your country is hosting an award ceremony, then finalists and winners will be contacted by local British Council office and invited to national ceremony. All applicants, including unsuccessful alumni, will be informed about the outcome of the application by email before the end of May 2026. And then, as Sarah mentioned before, between July and August 2026, we'll be celebrating our new 28 global finalists across social media channels globally, with winners announced at the end of August 2026. And here you can see the list of countries and regions hosting award ceremonies and when these are currently planned. There are 2 ceremonies which will be taking place in December, and that's in China, in Beijing, and in Dhaka, Bangladesh. And the other ceremonies will be held in 2026. Please note that the details of the events are still being confirmed, and there is a link included on this slide where you can see a live list of ceremonies, and you can have a look at it later in October to see updates. And then, as mentioned, if you become a finalist in one of the countries and regions, our local British Council office will follow up with you on the specific details of the ceremony. This slide just summarizes all the information that we mentioned before in terms of the timeline and the dates that you need to be aware of. And here you can see the timeline, which explains what happens throughout the campaign for everyone's reference. And then finally, for all those alumni from countries and regions hosting local ceremonies, these events bring together and connect higher education and UK and local government representatives. They are, of course, hosted to celebrate achievements of our Alumni Awards finalists and winners. And they're also a platform to network, renew connections, and build new ones. So we really encourage you, if you are from one of the countries that are hosting ceremonies, keep an eye on the updates to ceremonies list and hold that date in your calendar. And hopefully many of you who are on this call will be joining us at these. This is now the last slide of our presentation. We'll be moving on to the Q&A section now. And we've received a number of queries that were raised via the webinar registration form. So we've gathered a few that were quite common, and I will relay these the first 2 queries now to our guest speaker, and then we'll also review the Q&A, and Sarah and Tasdik will be responding to those questions. And also, just to let you know that if you have a specific question about your own individual circumstances or eligibility, or are unsure whether your degree that you've completed or course that you've completed makes you eligible for the awards, it's best to email us with that specific query, and we'll review that against the eligibility criteria. So Tasdik, the first question will be for you, please. Do you have any tips on how to make sure that all the story and experiences fit within the word limit? You've touched on this before, but it'd be great just to have your view on that.
Yes, absolutely. And I definitely want to respond to that because all stories is a very complex thing. You do not need to share all stories. You can share one or two important stories because word limit is one factor. And definitely, if you do not have the word limit, I would not suggest to anyone to write all of the stories. That will make things very boring and distracting. So, how to do that? I remember like what I did. I drafted the long version of the answer, like without thinking about any word limit, and highlighted most impactful phrases and evidence, like which story should I pick. And I want to tell you one very important aspect of it. Like recently, I think not just 2-3 days back, I received a wonderful recognition from Public Health Association Australia. So it's emerging Public Health Leader of the Year award. So I'm very happy to get that. And they had another a process like that, writing your story. So I used some of my technique from the Study UK Alumni Award, and it helped me. That's the reason I'm bringing that, because that particular exercise is now helping me in other similar accomplishments as well, narratives as well. So I'm talking about the most impactful phrases and evidence, like highlighting that, and then you need to cut everything which is like background info others could easily guess. Suppose you are talking about mental health, you do not need to mention what is mental health, right? You do not need to talk about the definition and other stuff. You can directly go into the fact that the country you are from. I directly talked about in Bangladesh, like 18.7% of the people. Suppose like 20 million people are suffering from different mental health conditions. I do not need to mention which conditions, just giving them a context very easily. Then you can also cut about any repetitive things or over-explain processes, maybe methods. Just focus on the result, outcome. And then we can rewrite always using short, sharp sentences. That's one, Dorota. Definitely I can also mention one particular important thing, because it's an individual award. So I think it's better to use I co-founded or I designed or I laid rather than passive phrasing. That's what I felt. Maybe it will be different in different categories, because that will give some authority and it makes things easier to explain. When I'm telling about a story without repetition, I think that's also helped a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. This is brilliant and really helpful. Second question for you is, do you have any recommendations on how to measure and quantify achievements most effectively?
Absolutely. So this is very important. I think I already touched on that skill. Directly talked about the number. This initiative reached 10 million viewers or something like that. See, I think at one point someone was asking in the chat box that, do I need to be a co-founder of a initiative? No, you do not need to be that. I'm talking about that because I initiated something. That's the reason. It's your work. It's not about co-founding something like a startup or initiative like a TV show or something. It's my story. That's the reason I'm bringing those kind of facts, but you can tell your stories in your way. If you trained 120 community healthcare workers, talked about the number, and that will definitely make a change, like how many scale. Second thing is, if your work is related to policy, you can directly say like, I co-authored this strategic plan, which is now guiding, like service delivery for this amount of people. That will definitely create an impact on your reader. Talk about if you have any funding, say like the number, like 100,000 GBP from Wellcome Trust or something in competitive research grant. Talk about the number. That will definitely make a difference. Also, specifically mention about one or two award or recognition you're very proud. Definitely, I'm going to talk about it. Recognized as a global finalist in Study UK Alumni Award 2024. Definitely, I'm going to say specifically about that, because people can click and they can see that this is what it is. And outcome, you can talk about, or maybe the it's a percentage. So just to define it, like you can say increased early screening rates among rural communities by 45%. Maybe it's a finding of your research work and you're talking about that. Any change, maybe I can just directly give example from my work that I co-designed first Bangla Digital Sign Language Bank, which is now adopted by 6 NGOs or something like that. 6 is a small number, but definitely it's a change. It's a change, and you are showing that. And leadership, of course. I definitely want to talk about that, Dorota. I name, I use some names because I think I was part of more than 100 webinars in Bangladesh on global mental health and like, you know, how to apply for Commonwealth scholarship, how to apply for UK. So I was part of that. So I thought that I do not need to mention where I attended. I just directly mentioned that 150, more than 100, but I specifically picked some names. I talked about my student Shahadat. So my student Shahadat is now doing PhD at UCL. My student Afifa is now working, you know, doing PhD at University of Cambridge, because I wanted to tell their stories and I tried to make things in a way that I'm picking 3 of my students who picked global mental health as their future career path, and now they are Commonwealth and Chevening scholar and studied at the UK, and somehow I was catalyst in their journey. So I specifically picked their name and added that because British Council can immediately check that. They have that authority. They can check, like, if someone named Fahmida is studying at King's College at the moment, you know, as a Chevening scholar, they can check and they will get the evidence. I do not need to provide any evidence, but I know the authority I'm writing, they have the mechanism of doing that. So that was my, I think the last, before submission, I did that. I think the last couple of hours I spent like, do I need to add it or not? Not, or so that is like, yes, I should tell a clear story that my students are like, they have that courage to pick the same course I did, and they're now studying at the UK. So I, in that phase, like I added that, yes.
It's great. Thank you so much, Tasdik. I'm going to give you a break for a moment so you can catch your breath. I do have a follow-up question to that. But now I'm going to go to Sarah, because there were some queries, and that is coming often to our mailbox as well, about including web links to some articles within the application itself. Would you be able to just comment on that and what the judges can review, really?
Of course. Thank you. Some people do include web links, but just to note, and this is also given guidance within the application form itself, judges do not score you on the web links and the information on the web links. So I would encourage you to use the words limit effectively, and rather use it to really tell your story, and add in maybe try to summarize something that you are wanting the judges to have seen in that web link. If we are following up on anything, it obviously is helpful for us to have that web link. And if applications do progress to a certain level, then we do more research, and so those web links are then helpful at that stage. But the country teams, and then also the global level, so our UK team are also will also be reaching out for more information to verify information and look more into those applications. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. And now going back to Tasdik for a moment. So there was a question, you've spoken a bit about this, but one alum is asking if you could just tell us about some examples of how you shared your experiences of studying in the UK and how you've inspired others. So just perhaps, you know, from your own journey, to give people an example of what kind of counts as this wider dissemination and impact.
Absolutely. Before that, I want to I definitely need to mention about that. When referring to other people's name, I actually took permission from them and then I used it. So that's also important. Like, they're my students, but definitely I need to take their consent before adding their name in the application. So I told them that I'm applying for a Study UK Alumni Award, and this is the line I'm going to use. And do you agree with that? And they say, yeah, go for it. So you need to, like, if you are using my approach, definitely you need to take permission. So that's the first disclaimer. Dorota, your question is about how my UK study experience helped me to draft my application. That's yeah.
Yes.
So
what do you kind of use in that section?
Yeah, so I already talked about that. Like, I directly mentioned about courage. I mentioned about unlearn, and also I think I talked about the diversity thing, I think it should be very much like, I need to talk about that, because I unlearned many things when I started my education at the UK. Like the way we are approaching to disability, when we are approaching to people with diverse sexualities, and like different, like the diversity in general, like it gave me a new perspective. I learned a lot of like nuances, and the way we can be more empathetic and can be like change our approaches. So that example I gave to the application directly, saying like it was in part of my education in the classroom. At the same time, I learned that from different social gatherings, because there are a lot of opportunities where we can meet people from diverse background, and that helped me a lot to understand that we are all equal in every single possible way. Our voices are unique, but all voices should be respected in equal way. There should be no way we can consider anyone based on any fact or trait that they're superior than us. So that also gave me confidence as a low resource country representative, like belonging to a middle income group, resource group. I said, like, yeah, definitely, I can talk to you. I remember in London School of Hygiene, our gallery is very, very famous, the John Snow Lecture Gallery. So I met Amartya Sen that time, like a Nobel laureate. I remember that time a couple of professors, I never thought I would see them in person. So they were there. Also UK, I think foreign minister, someone who held something from the parliament, and she was also present. And I checked her name in the newspapers. That was so encouraging and enlightening for me, that in an academic forum like that, we can talk in person like that. And there are no protocols, there are no bodyguards or like police behind. We can just talk about something, and we definitely can make our voices heard to a parliamentarian. And I also attended their all-party parliamentary sessions in the UK Parliament, and that's a wonderful approach of UK, that the students have access, like direct access. If we want to, we can go and we can join any session we want. So I attended a couple of sessions, so that gave me a lot of perspective. And I mentioned somewhere in the application that these sessions gave me the confidence that talk about your right, talk about what you feel that is right, and that make a big change in my life as well. Not only about my career, it's like the way I'm leading my life. Yeah, so I mentioned that. Yes.
Thanks, Tasdik. And also to add what you mentioned, because between Sarah and I, we read a number of applications and also speak with our variety of finalists and winners. And what they've shared before about kind of this confidence, it's important to, when you're addressing the three long form questions, and particularly the one about the third one that someone asked here. Yes, so examples of how you shared your experiences and how you inspired others, is to really not discount things that you've done. I remember particularly Emily Rickman. She was the winner of the 2024 awards in science and sustainability, and she said that herself, she wasn't too sure if she should apply, if she's done enough. But then once she started putting together an entry, actually, and acknowledging, all her impact, and whether it is mentoring some students at your previous university, or organizing workshops on how to create a Commonwealth or Chevening application, or how to apply to a UK university. This is all really sharing your experience, and it can be used as evidence.
Absolutely.
Within your application.
Dorota, I want to add something. I want to add two more facts. One is I was inspired by Mushtaq Ibn Ayub, who was one of the global finalists for 2024 last year from Bangladesh. So he pushed me. He's a senior, a mentor to me. So he said, no. I said, no, I'm young. I'm doing my PhD at the moment. I should not, apply for it. Said, no, it's not about your career stage. It's about the impact, the way you are working in Bangladesh, and, working on mental health, which is not a talked about topic. So definitely this story should be heard by the world. So that I definitely, I'm very much grateful to him. Also, Emily's interview was fantastic. I listened to that last year as an applicant. attend the same webinar, and like it helped me a lot. The second thing is, just after winning, but I think before winning London School of Hygiene and King's College, I studied at two universities. Like it's a joint masters between two universities. So both of them reached out to me saying like, we want to publish your story as blogs. So I published two blogs with two different universities, and they feature in the alumni spotlight session. That also kind of give me a lot of satisfaction, because like where I studied before, they are featuring me as their alumni spotlight. That's fantastic. And these are sort of inspirations we need from universities. I think someone was asking that if they are studying at two universities, which university they should pick. So I think for my case, it was joint course. So I gave King's College first, because my award, like my degree was coming from King's College. But there are two options in the application, if I'm not wrong. Like you can add more than one UK university. So Sarah can clarify on that. Don't worry about it. It's not like university ranking or university. It's not like that. If you're a UK graduate, you can definitely confidently add that. I think inspiring students, I am always inspired by my own students. It's not about if I'm inspiring them. I'm inspired because like it's their work that matters. And at the same time, I remember global mental health. When I studied, I was the first global mental health student from Bangladesh, and my course director said that no one studied it from your country before. So when I returned to Bangladesh after my UK degree, it was my responsibility to tell people that what it is, like why global mental health matters. And I'm very happy that this year also one of my mentee, she joined global mental health. So every year after I passed, like someone is joining, and when they're going to the UK, they're talking to me like, oh, you told us for the first time about this masters, and now we all are kind of studying. That's fantastic, that when people are kind of getting inspired by my somehow like little or tiny works. And the second thing is, when we are talking about a certain unit, it's not only about that university, it's about the environment, overall environment. That 1 year was a blast. I think one of the bestest year of my life. And I want to thank UK for accommodating me from a low resource setting. At the same time, the learning and journey, it was not from one university, it was from the road, from, like UK train, everywhere, wherever we travel, I think we learned something new. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan. That's brilliant. And of course, your own story has definitely inspired others. And I see someone has joined from Bangladesh a little bit late, but there have been some questions about the recording and the presentation. Yes, we will be sharing both of these. So please do look out for those. We are at time, but I just wanted to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining. One quick tip again from me is that all three questions matter. So please focus on answering all of them equally. And just wanted to say thank you again for joining. We will pick up some of these questions that we haven't yet answered, and you can also take a look at our website at the terms and conditions and frequently asked questions that will also be able to help you with any of those. And just a big thank you to all of you for joining us from across the world, to my co-presenters. Thank you so much. It's been absolutely wonderful, and we look forward to receiving your applications. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, and evening. Bye, everyone.